Hey, thanks for checking out one of my YouTube videos. I love being able to provide you guys with unique astrological interpretations. What I'd like is a little bit of help and support to continue to do so. I provided a link down below to my Patreon page. Check that out. You can see my goals, the plans that I have in store for my YouTube channel, and hopefully lend some support. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hi everybody, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to be talking about what happens when you have a Sagittarius personality. Per usual, I'll put a few links around to let you guys know what my intentions are with this series and how I define personality placements. So Sagittarius Ascendant. I think with Sagittarius Ascendant, it's pretty easy to generalize and kind of assume that these core things that make Sagittarius Sagittarius are kind of the same, no matter what. I think you got to remember that Sagittarius is a mutable energy. Sagittarius ascendants vary quite drastically. Line them up. They're going to be quite different people. Firstly, because Sagittarius like to be different somehow while staying the same as everyone else, but they accomplish it. Also, Sagittarius will take on what's going on around it and then try to perfect itself. Sagittarius does see its own weaknesses and it tries to emphasize its strengths instead. That means that what's going on in the rest of the chart is very important, because the weaknesses of someone with a Sag ascendant and, let's say, a Scorpio sun compared to someone with a Sag ascendant and a Cancer sun is going to be quite different. They're going to react in quite different ways. And what they want to perfect in themselves and where their focuses are and all types of things like that are going to change. And the scenario of those things changing is going to change for each and every sign that Sag is now put with while on the ascendant. But these core things do still exist. They're still there. Like humor and adventurousness and the idea of wanting to perfect itself. That is Sag energy at its very, very most core, and the idea of those two things kind of cultivating wisdom inside of itself. But let's take humor with a Sag ascendant. Someone with a Sagittarius ascendant who's funny, it's going to vary. They're all going to be funny. They're all going to be funny in their own ways. They're all going to enjoy humor in their own ways. There's going to be one type of Sag that is funny because it's just fun, and they like doing it, and they like laughing, and that's just what they do, and it's just kind of like, whatever, like, I'm funny. Then there's the Sag that is using humor to avoid something internal. And they're making you laugh because they don't want you to be mad. They did something. Or they're making you laugh because there's something going on inside of them. And they would rather make you laugh and pay attention to that than pay attention to what's going on inside of them internally. And then you find the Sages that are humorous when it counts. When it matters, when there's something to be gained, when there's opportunity presenting itself to be funny and then get paid for it in some way. Or you might find comedians, or you might find people that use their charm to get ahead. And if you're not someone who can get them ahead, you might never know that they're funny. It can go in all these different ways, but the point being is that they are funny. They are humorous. But when, where, and how, and why this humor is coming into play is going to vary, especially with Sagittarius sitting on the ascendant. Now, the idea of adventurousness, this can be seen as well as something that is very mutable. All of these Sag ascendants are going to be adventurous. Some of them are going to be a little bit more literal, like they're off to Europe, they're off to Africa, they're off to Asia, they're adventuring different parts of the world. Some of them are going to be a little less literal, where it's like maybe they never left their hometown. But you look at other parts of their life and it's like they are the manager of two bands and they're in one band. They like run the printing in a small town. They make light bulbs on their off time. They know how to do all these different things. They build houses on weekends. Like, they have all these different skills and all these different positions. They are an entrepreneur. They do all these different things. That's adventurous in its own right. They're going to all be adventurous in their own right. But the idea of just saying they're adventurous can be confusing if you don't know that fact. And then again, I feel like you kind of get me here. The idea of the rest of Sagittarian qualities kind of make themselves present, perfecting themselves, gaining wisdom, spreading wisdom, being a teacher. It's the when and how and why and where and all those sorts of questions. Those are all going to have different answers depending on every single Sag ascendant that you meet. But those core things will be there. But how and all that shit, that is going to be what's very, very drastically different between them. Now, with a Sag Sun, this is where you can find a more typical Sagittarius. This is where their bubbly, sort of joyous personality kind of gets really pushed out into the world. It's something that they take pride in. Now, whether it gets them ahead or not, they're going to want to be funny because that is how they identify themselves as funny. And if they feel like they want to go to France or start 3 bands, that's going to be on them to decide, because that is something they identify with, the ability to be able to do it. And if they don't feel they have the ability to be able to do it, they will prove it to themselves. They will say, you know what? No, I'm full of shit. I'm going to do it anyway. If I cannot do it, then I guess I'll fail. And then they'll go out and do it. It's that their ego is kind of being pushed to the brink here, because the Sagittarius Sun really doesn't have that much of an ego. It's not as if they think they're the shit. It's that they want to prove to themselves that they're the shit. And once they do it, then they've gained a level of confidence. Now, if they do it on a small scale and trick themselves into thinking that they're on top, when it's like, no, you're just better than the people that you surround yourself with. You haven't even found competition yet. Then you can get those type of egoistic Sagittariuses, but life will kick them in the ass eventually. But for the most part, they're not very egotistical. It's more about proving things to themselves and doing better for themselves. A Sagittarius's ego gets broken down kind of constantly because they like to push limits. They like to push your limits. They like to push their own limits. They like to push life's limits. They are limit pushers. They are ruled by Jupiter. That is just kind of what they do. If you give them a boundary, they will put their toe over it just to see what's going to happen. That's just how they work. And now that they're self-identifying with it, they're going to take a lot of fun out of it. And they're going to feel as if they're growing as a person every time they do it. So this is where you really get that idea of Sagittarius, the strength and the vivaciousness coming from them. And it's because this is how I self-identify. I want to test myself. And it's endearing. And it's actually inspiring because it has nothing to do with you. And you can kind of take that and build your own independence and do your own thing because you see that Sag trying to do the same. The one big thing about this, though, is that Sagittarius don't like to ask for help in the same typical ways as other people. They won't like to really come out and say it unless they're kind of forced into that situation. A Sag might call you and ask how to do something, like, oh, do you know like how to spell integrity? Like, I can't think of how to spell integrity, like, even though they could have just like typed it in Google. And it's like, oh, I'll tell you how to spell integrity. And then, like, you know, I mean, give them 5 minutes and you're writing their essay. Like, you're like, you've now found out that they have an entire essay due tomorrow, 18 pages, and they haven't started yet, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know what the subject is on, but they need to get it done. Like, that's how a Sag asks for help. Like, they get themselves into situations and they don't want to prove that they are so ready to drastically fail. So they will start small and build their way up and kind of unload onto you. It's a very small issue. I mean, unless you're like married to one or dating one where like it's constantly happening to you, and then like, you know, they're going to take credit for it after you help them. But they'll always appreciate you for what you did, but just don't expect the world to know that you did it. But I think that's just one of the main things that I really know about Sagittarius, is that they just really hate to really ask for full-blown help. They'll ask for something small, And then they'll want to see, you're going to see that everything with them gets bigger. And they're going to want to see, how much are you willing to help me? Now that I keep adding things onto the plate, when you're going to tell me to stop, because I will be happy whenever you tell me to stop. Just help me with this. You know what I mean? Then you have Sagittarius moon, a lunar Sag. This is where you really get a more sentimental sort of Sagittarius energy, because the moon is adding a lot more sensitivity. The moon is adding a lot more emphasis on other, and the moon is adding a lot more emphasis on its own imperfections. Sagittarius here, this is the least confident of the Sagittarius placements. It's really going to take what's on the ascendant, where is Mars placed, where is Jupiter placed, what is going on in the rest of the chart, to really help the Sagittarius build up their own confidence, because it's more than their ego that is tested every once in a while, like with the sun. If they're even really being tested on a major level, like with Sag Ascendant, when the moon is in Sag, every couple of days, everything that they stand for is tested, because the Sagittarius is very good at convincing themselves that certain things are true, the world works a certain way, and I need this and I need that, and this is how it's happening, and this is how I'm going to go forward. But that only lasts 2 days when your moon is in Sagittarius, because all those things that you just felt are suddenly going to change. Like, yes, I feel so excited, and I feel like I can do anything, and I feel like I need to focus on this, and I know exactly what my tasks are going to be, and I'm so ready to do this. And that was great when you were having your lunar return. But now the moon is in Capricorn, and you've just decided to do this, and now you actually have to work. That shit sucks. And it's kind of like when it's Sagittarius in the moon, it's like they are down for the ride no matter what. Sagittarius is always down. So like, things kind of end up naturally progressing for them. But it's their reaction to that natural progression. How do they feel about it? How much do they feel like they can handle? Where are they emotionally? Which is going to change with the environment as well. So there's a lot of inner strength that needs to be found to deal with the fact that a Sagittarius is not perfect. And that they will kind of constantly be reminded that they're not perfect, because every couple of days they're being challenged in a new and different way. And they need to be able to cope with their imperfections and not hold things in, and not punish themselves, and not become so focused on avoiding their imperfections that they never get anything done in life. They're just so busy trying to teach people things, but then you kind of notice that, like, an unevolved lunar Sagittarius, the student becomes master like every couple of days. Like, the people that you're teaching are going far beyond you constantly. They're constantly going far beyond your own levels, because you need to be able to grow before you teach other people. And there's going to be a natural inclination to teach other people because you understand other people. You're a little bit more sensitive to other people's feelings. And this makes you want to give to them. It gives you kind of a goal to, yes, you still want to focus, you still want to self-perfect, and you still want to do all these things that Sagittarius wants to do. But now it might be because there are people that you feel look up to you. And not feel as in you think, feel as in you actually feel them looking up to you. You feel their praise. You feel them being awestruck by you. And it's driving you to do more, be better for them. And it's just Sagittarius energy on a much deeper level. It's forced to become a lot deeper because it's much more exposed to what their actions are actually capable of in the world. A lunar Sagittarius is really understanding what they are capable of in the world. They can see and feel and internally really understand action and reaction. So it causes a lot more depth compared to a sun in Sagittarius, and definitely compared to a Sagittarius ascendant. Now, if you're going to take these placements and put them with different elements, let's say you have an air ascendant a fire sun and a Sagittarius moon. This is going to be the type of person that's really all about turning life into a classroom. They lead by example, they teach by example, but they have to make sure that the class is here, that the class is attentive. You may find the person that wants to be famous. And it's like they really want to go out there and they want to get in front of the crowd and they want to get out into the public and be seen and be heard. But the funny thing about it is that it's so easy to just kind of say, oh, you want to be famous. You're probably a little superficial. It's probably something, you know what I mean? Like nobody just wants to be famous because they want to change the world. And it's like, no, like this is the person that wants to be famous because they want to change the world. They don't like what they see in the world. They see the power that comes from the influence of being popular, which is all fame really is, popular on a grand scale. So that's what they go for because they have something to say. And it's simple to them. I want a lot of people to hear this something I have to say. So if I have to go and be famous, then I'll go and be famous. I have the energy to go do that. And I have the skills to make enough friends to make shit happen. Sagittarius is very good at analyzing itself. And with a sun and fire saying, yes, I can do it. I have the energy to do it. I'm going to go fucking do this shit no matter what. And then an ascendant, which is going to take up on the details, pick up on what people are saying. You have someone who is very oriented towards their own skill set, coming from their moon. They're oriented towards what am I good at, what do I have to say, and how do I feel about what is going on around me. So you're going to have that inclination, that natural inclination to get in front of people. Whether that be on a grand scale and be famous, whether that be on a small scale and just tour, be in a band, be in plays, to be a teacher, to be a professor. Get in front of people and tell them what you feel. Tell them what you see. Try to influence how their mind is working. And also experience how these different minds work in the first place. There's a focus on culture. There's a focus on communication in general. And not only being a part of it and being the focal point of it, but understanding what all these different cultures and all these different means of communication can do. Testing them all, playing with them all, and seeing what life has to offer. And at the end of the day, you find that this person ended up acquiring so much wisdom from what just seemed like playing. And there's a lot you can learn from playing games and getting to know people, but nobody else is going to exemplify this and really bring out the best that can come out of this, like someone with an air ascendant, fire sun, and a Sagittarius moon. Play ends up feeding a lot for them and ends up making them gain a lot as well. It's pretty interesting. So yeah, that is a Sagittarius personality. Hey everybody, just want to say thank you for watching my video until the end. So if you liked it, share it. Like my page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. Check out my blog. I try to put some things up there that you won't necessarily find on YouTube, especially if you'd rather read what I have to say than listen to me ramble for hours. I'm really appreciative of your support and watching videos, and especially watching them until the end. And you know, really supporting my work and supporting what I'm putting out there, because I take this very seriously and I really enjoy it, and I enjoy talking to you guys, and I enjoy engaging in this, and I enjoy just doing astrology and finding people who find just as much passion in it as I do. But check out what I have to offer. I definitely do it for you guys. So yeah, thanks again for watching, you guys.